So welcome to the Camtasia Training Editing Part 2. I'm Kristen Purvis, and I'll also be presenting with Terry Locklear today, going over a couple more editing features than we did last time. And this will be the final advanced training for this semester, so thanks for sticking through all of these with us. First up is overview of editing functions. I'll be going over that. Then we'll be doing hands-on training. I'll do the first three tasks for that, and then Terry will do the rest of them. And then third, we'll just have that slide with next steps and go over any individual needs that there are at this time. So today we're going to specifically be learning how to zoom, pan, make an object rotate. And when I say make an object rotate, I don't mean just rotate it and then it stays stationary. I mean like it will spin into the frame. So that's a really cool animation you can add. And then adding interactive hotspots, animating text and images, download and install TextSmith assets, add a device frame, which is, it's basically, if you've been watching any of the editing videos on the TechSmith website, they have a frame right at the beginning, and it's sort of like a way to transition into the beginning of the video. It just makes it look more sleek and everything. And then lastly, syncing captions with a script, and that's an important one for accessibility. So definitely need to focus on that one. So here's just this little checklist I made for once we go through all of these tasks today. You can use it to kind of gauge where you're at and if you need help with anything. So without further ado, we'll get started on this hands-on portion. So first, we'll go over zooming, panning, and making an object rotate. Those are all parts of visual properties of an object in Camtasia. And those consist of position, rotation, scale and size, and opacity / transparency. I mean, the same thing. And you can adjust all of those in the properties panel, which is over here. So these are all your visual properties. Most people take a more hands-on approach and will just click on the object and kind of move it. You can see that the position numbers are updating as I drag this around to show where it is on the canvas. I'm going to put this check mark over here by make an object rotate, because that's what we're going to make this check mark do. So for zooming, panning, and making an object rotate, you'll use the same animation. You'll go up here, click on animations, go to custom. And what custom means is that you choose which visual properties will change about it. These are some that already have them pre-built in, so they can be good to use as well, but we're going to be focusing on this one today. So you'll just drag it down to the clip you want to apply it to. Since I'm going to be doing it with this check mark, I'll put it on that clip. You can see it made a little arrow. You can stretch that out to be longer. And pretty much what this arrow symbolizes is a bridge between the beginning state of the image and the end state. Right now, they're both the same, but let's say I want this check mark to start out being larger. So I'll expand that out. And when you do that, make sure that the playhead is at the beginning of the clip. So anywhere to the left of the animation arrow. And then for the end state, you'll go here, and this will turn red when when it's definitely engaged with the end state. And then you make it the size that you want it to be for the end state. So you can see that that is larger over here, and it shrinks down as it progresses through that arrow. So if I hit play here, we can watch what happens. You can see it shrinking. Okay, so that's how you can, I guess that's a reverse zoom since it actually made it smaller. So if you wanted to zoom in on something, you would do the opposite of that. Let's say I want to zoom in on add a device frame, or let's pick one that's more in the middle. Let's do animate text and images. I would drag the custom arrow down here. And I'll just stretch it out a little, and you can make this smaller if you want after you add the different sizes or the panning that you want. I just find it easier to work with if it's larger. So here is the begin state, and then for the end state, you'll just take this and zoom it in. I'm going to use these so I don't have to keep readjusting the window size, and just center this where you want it. Okay, so that's pretty well centered over what I want. Okay, and then we can hit play. And there you have your zooming. If you want it to zoom in faster, you would just make this arrow shorter. See what that looks like. So there you go. Are there any questions about zooming before I move on to panning?
No. Not right now, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So panning is going to be very similar, especially to that last zoom I just did. You saw that it kind of panned over to the left. If you don't want it to zoom in while it does that though, let me drag a new arrow down here for the custom animation. Let's say you don't want it to zoom in on this. You want it to stay the same size, but you don't want people to look at the accomplished and needs work columns. So let me make this a little longer. You would just drag this to be, well, if you really didn't want them to look those columns at all, you could drag it all the way over there. And there you go. Are there any questions about panning? Nope. Okay.
No, ma'am.
All right. So now let's make an object rotate. Make this a little smaller. So let's say I want this check mark to rotate while it enters. Once again, drag that custom animation down to the clip you want to apply it to. Make the arrow a little longer so it's easier to work with. So this is the begin state. It's oriented the correct way. And then for the end state, well, okay, how about this? Let's have it upside down when we start, and then it'll rotate to be the correct direction. Okay, so that's what it is. So anytime you change it, it'll revert back to what it already was down here. Whether you start over here or over here, it'll keep this one the same. So here we have that. So when we hit play, Now it's oriented correctly. So are there any questions about making an object rotate? Nope.
Nope.
Okay, great. We can move on to Terry's portion now.
And the first thing that we're going to do is talk about, we're going to get to captions. Have you guys, have you played around with any captions in Camtasia or in videos in the past?
Terry, I used Sonic Foundries before my media site.
Oh yeah, Media Site Live.
Yeah, and but that was a few years ago, and I was able to do some captions, but I can't remember. I just, I was answering your question, but I can't remember.
Yeah, so well, we'll get to captions in a minute, but let's go ahead and talk about interactive hotspots. So a hotspot is, just imagine that you're in the middle of a video, and we've probably all seen videos like this before, where in YouTube it's a sort of a standard for most content creators. At the end of the video or sometime during the video, they'll say, maybe if they're doing a demonstration, they'll say, I made a video in the past about how to do such and such in this process, and if you click here, and they'll point somewhere, they'll like point up or whatever, there'll be a link within the video embedded, and it'll say click here for the last video. So right, that's essentially an interactive hotspot in the middle of a video. And the way to do that is, so just imagine that I want to add, you just go to your timeline in the spot in the location in which you want to add it, and it's going to be under, you say, well, I want to add it right here, the hotspot, and it's going to be in, not behaviors, but it's video, visual effects, right? It's an interactive hotspot right here, which is kind of odd. It's not really a visual effect. It's odd location. But anyway, so I want to add it to this clip, right? I'm going to add it to that clip, and sorry, you need to add something there to add the hotspot to first. So we're going to say, in this location of the video, you can add some text and say, click here for more, right? So I'm going to add that, and then go down to visual effects. And in order to make it a little bit easier, you can always sort of right click and add to favorites. And you can start building your little library for your favorite pieces. So for the hotspot here, I'm just going to drag it down to this call out. So a couple of different ways you can make this interactive is, one, by a URL. So, well, I'm going to make this uncp.edu URL. Say www.uncp.edu, or maybe we'll do something different. We'll just say www.yahoo.com, and you can say, well, we're going to pause at the end of this call out to give students a chance to interact with it, right? You can say, well, at the end of this call out here, we're going to pause the video and give them a chance to either interact or click the call out, or just click cancel and move on. Okay, so we're going to go to here and put in not sure what happened to it. Okay, that's a marker. Sorry, interactive hotspot. You know what? Just gotta make it you've got to extend the video here so to get access to your options. Okay, so URL yahoo.com is where I want to go, and you can always click test just to make sure that your URL works, right? So it went to yahoo.com. Okay, so click the interactive button again, say here's our interactive hotspot. We're going to go to this URL, and you can also do click to continue, which is another option as well. So do you want to do the URL or the click to continue? Okay, so that's interactive hotspots. And you can also adjust your hotspot by clicking the properties here and adjusting the timing. You can either use these tools for adding, use this option to time the hotspot, or you can also, instead of say maybe I don't want to go to a URL, right? You can also say, well, I'm going to jump to a certain portion of the video. You can say, well, you can have maybe two bubbles. So I'm going to have in the same location or in the same point of the video, I'm going to have one. I'm going to just copy and paste the two call outs. Say, well, if you want to learn more about this topic, okay, you can have, let's say here. You can say maybe topic 1, so URLs and points of the video, right? Topic 1, topic 2. So I discuss topic 1 at this point in the video, okay? And I discuss topic 2 at this point in the video. Click current position. So in other words, when students play this back, you'll say, I want to learn more about topic 1. You're going to click test, and boom, it jumps to that point of the video. Okay, so students also may say, well, I want to learn more about topic 2. And in order to do that, they would click topic 2, right? And to test that, we're going to say, boom, it goes to a different point of the video. So those are essentially interactive hotspots. Do we have any questions on those?
Not right
So
now, thank you.
Two different options for hotspots. Number one, it goes to you can make it go to a URL. And number two, you can make it go to different points from within the video. Okay, so good. Animating text and images. We want to animate text images. So essentially, I'm going to just delete these for now. Okay, so if you want to maybe do some animations to your video, here's the options here for possibilities and different ways that we can view our footage. So just say that we want to. So there's all kinds of options here. In order to view these, you can take your mouse and just sort of scroll over to give you a little preview of what would happen if you add this to your video. Smart focus. So there's all sorts of different options. We'll just try this restore. So same concept as Kristen was discussing earlier with the arrows. Essentially, the question is, where do you want the animation to start versus where you want it to finish? 2 points, a beginning and an end. So for this one, I'm just going to put it there and just give you a little preview of what that looks like.
Welcome to.
just gonna turn the volume down here. Yeah, I'll just let it play, it's okay.
Again, welcome to our website. Please check it out for information.
Restore. I suppose I'll spin in. Oh, guess what? That's not going to work on audio, right? I need to put it on a video. It's interesting. It should not have let me add it there. So, sorry, same concept here.
Again, welcome to our website. Please check it out for information about new. Again, welcome to our website. Please.
Okay, let me try a different. Let's try a different video animation here. See if it works on this one.
Education and online learning. If you need assistance.
See how that worked? So this is my background for this video. It made it transition.
If you need assistance, please don't hesitate to reach.
And the way that this was filmed using a green screen, so that's how that worked. And I just have an overlay here or behind Dr. Nino on the green screen. So and we talked about that the last time, how that worked. So that's sort of how the animations go. So you can imagine that if he were a newscaster, we could be bringing in that just say he wanted to, as a newscaster, bring in some footage, right? We can, that was sort of the reverse of that. We'll do scale down here and let's take a look at what that looks like on this footage here. I'm gonna just click play.
If you need assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out to your representative.
And I think that Camtasia is such a simple video tool. In more complicated video tools, there's something going on behind the scene here called rendering. And in videos have to render when you make changes from one place to the next. So sometimes, if you're ever doing any of these complicated sort of visualizations, when you make that sort of change, it may not be as apparent immediately. On the back end, it may have to render. And most video tools give you a sort of like a clock or a countdown, or letting you know that's going on behind the scenes, to sort of let you know that okay, this will be ready for you to preview in a minute. But for some reason, Camtasia doesn't always do that. Let's see, okay, so now it's kind of pausing. Let me see if it.
If you need assistance, please don't hesitate.
But anyway, so that may be why that it's not giving us that immediate preview. So that's sort of how the animation tools work in Camtasia. Text and images. Any questions about that portion? Maybe a little while before you delve this deep into your videos. I know you're just now getting started, so this is some higher order tools here with the layers and the transitions and animations and that sort of thing. So some questions may arise later on, but this is all an act or a process by which you can sort of spark your creativity on what's possible. So one of the things that Camtasia includes, what's included with your license, is access to access to media assets and libraries, which is very nice. It's essentially giving you access to sort of extra footage and that sort of thing. So the way to access that, and it may be different on your end how you get to it, but normally what I do is I just go to help and just type download more assets, which it's kind of embedded in the the menu here under File, Library, and download more assets. And when you click that, it's going to actually point you to Camtasia's or TechSmith's website for royalty-free video assets, right? 900,000 assets from them. And we've got templates, themes, device frames, exactly what Kristen was talking about earlier, intros, outros, and motion graphics. Now, that's on the customizable side. There's also some video, which is actual footage, backgrounds, certain effects, images, royalty-free, icons, which is all of this is really cool, sound effects. Some of these are free, but not all of them. So there's a certain number of each one of these. Each one of these categories include a certain number of free assets, but a lot of them are you would have to purchase. So if I go to videos and maybe go to footage, I'm going to uncheck premium, and we'll just see how much free footage there is out there, and we'll do apply. So there's actually no free video footage. I'm not surprised. Probably the same thing for audio, but just to keep it simple, I'm just going to go to device frames, customizable device frames, and we can go back to filter, and free is already there. So I'll just do apply. And we'll just say, okay, well, here is a nice generic retail space showing a monitor. Interesting. I can just do download file. When you do that, you'll see that it's downloading here. Okay. 52 megs. It's a good size file. So if I come back to I'm going to come back to Camtasia and media. It's going to be, actually, it should be under library. Default library. Oh, yep. Spinning computer. Interesting. Okay, so just say that I wanted to add that computer frame on top of this video. That's going to actually be in order to do that, that's going to be listed under visual effects once again. So if we go to visual effects, you're going to see these the actual device frames. And under type, we'll just select all, make sure that is there in device frames. So there's the computer. I'm going to add that on top of his video here, and you'll notice that, let me move my zoom, it puts Dr. Nino's video on top within a device, and you can actually change that. You can switch it to all sorts of different devices here. There's different frames. So right now it's a desktop. You can change it to a Google Pixel, an iPhone, or a MacBook Pro. Very, very cool functionality from within Camtasia. Any questions about those device frames? So once again, they're easy to find, easy to access by accessing Camtasia's website and device frames. So now let's discuss something. I would posit that this is one of the most complicated parts of Camtasia, which is adding captions. So there's two ways you can think about captions. You can either say, I am going to just type a script. I'm going to compose a script before I create a video. I'm just going to write a script and go by that script for the duration of the video. And then you would have a script that would kind of kill two birds with one stone. You would have your script as well as your captions. So that's one way to think of it. You can say I'm going to have a script up front, and then I can use the same Word document or whatever to use for my captions later on. That's one option for handling scripts. And that's okay for the most part if your videos are 5 minutes short, whatever. That's a pretty good approach. Well, for the most part, well, there's actually three ways you can get captions here. One is by having the script up front. Another one is by adding them or typing them into Camtasia manually, and we'll talk about that later. But another one is by using your video once you're finished. You don't have a script. You're just kind of narrating your video along the way, sort of the way Kristen and I do these presentations. We don't have a script or anything. And you say, well, we have this recording. Well, you've got this recording here on Camtasia. You can upload it to somewhere like YouTube or Stream and let those tools automatically provide you a caption file, and you can import that caption file into Camtasia. So that's the second option. The third option is to actually type those captions in manually, and that's what Camtasia provides you. It provides a space for that. You can import existing captions, or you can type them out manually after your video is already recorded and you want to add them. It's there's captions are tough. We all know that. I mean, if it was easy, everybody would have them in every video 100% of the time, right? So there's really nothing simple and easy about adding captions, especially to long videos. So your approach for handling those may vary. For the options associated with captions, if you just click on if you have Windows, this process may be a little bit different, but on a Mac, you just click File and import captions. If you want to import them, you can just import them that way. And the file types, the types of files that it's going to be looking for, different ones. So VTT is one file type that I'm familiar with, and VTT is actually the file type that Stream gives you. I'm not exactly sure what YouTube gives you, but VTT is what you would import from Stream. So you can import captions, you can export them if you've already created them. And in order to just add those to your file or to your Camtasia manually, you would click on Modify and Captions and Add Captions. Okay, so you have to click on an audio file or an audio track first, and then click Add Captions. So the preview, you're going to play this as he speaks, and it's in a duration of 4 seconds, and I'm going to try to turn the volume up here where you can hear it, and you can just click this little. It's basically going to loop this audio for 4 seconds.
Hello and welcome. I'm Miko Nino, Director of Online Learning at Hello and welcome. I'm Miko Nino, Director of Online Learning at Hello and welcome. I'm Miko Nino, Director of Online Learning at Hello and welcome. I'm Miko Nino, Director of Online Learning at Hello and welcome. I'm Miko Nino, Director of Online Learning at Hello and welcome. I'm Miko Nino, Director of Online Learning at Hello and welcome. I'm Miko Nino, Director of Online Learning at Hello and welcome. I'm Miko Nino, Director of Online Learning at Hello and welcome. I'm Miko Nino, Director of Online Learning at Hello and welcome. I'm Miko Nino at University of North Carolina, Pembroke, and the Chair of the University of North Carolina, Pembroke, and the chair of the University of North Carolina, Pembroke, and the chair of the University of North Carolina, Pembroke.
Okay, so there, that's 8 seconds of captioning. How long did that take, right? So if I just click play.
Hello and welcome. I'm Miko Nino, Director of Online Learning at University of North Carolina, Pembroke, and the chair of the...
So that's captioning. That's a quick overview of how captioning works in Camtasia. Does anybody have any questions about that portion of the presentation? I know that captions can be sort of a beast, and it can sort of be intimidating, but you can choose to type them out that way. But I'm going to be honest, in the past, I've just sort of, after I create a video, I will just export the video file or the audio file into Microsoft Stream and let Stream sort of process those and create them for me, and then import them back into Camtasia. So that ends up being a little bit more simplified, and it depends on the platform. If you're going to just create a video with no interactivity, with no quizzes, no links, if it's just a video, you can export it. You can export that video into YouTube or into Stream or wherever you're going to host it. And a lot of times those tools have automatic captioning functionality built in. So if you're going to add a video to YouTube, there's no reason, or there's no advantage to typing it out here or creating those captions manually. Let YouTube or let Stream handle those for you. But if you're going to if you really need to include those interactivity components, such as quizzes and links embedded into your video, you're going to have to use Camtasia's captioning functionality to create those. And the reason you're going to have to use Camtasia is because if you have quizzes embedded in a video and links that you create in Camtasia, those links and those quizzes are not going to work in YouTube or Stream. So that's sort of the purpose or the rationale for creating captions within Camtasia. So that sort of wraps up the captioning portion of the presentation today. Does anybody have any questions about this? And I know you may have to sort of digest some of this information, and you may come up with questions later, but does anybody have any at this point?
I'm okay for now.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So if I go back to the checklist and just double check, I think we covered everything there. So I'll turn it back over to Kristen. And as always, feel free to reach out at any time if you run into anything that any challenges that we can assist with. We're always happy to help, and we really appreciate your attentiveness today.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add, so we'll just end it now.
Okay, thanks again, and we look forward to helping you out and assisting further in the future. We hope you have a wonderful weekend.